My name is Madison Blake, and until recently, I thought I knew the meaning of family. My older brother, Aaron, had always been my anchor, my protector through our parents' messy divorce, my cheerleader when I launched my small web design business, and the one person I could always count on. So, when he married Vanessa 3 years ago, I genuinely tried to welcome her into our lives. But from the moment we met, I sensed something off about her. Vanessa had a way of making me feel small with just a smile. She never said anything blatantly rude, but every compliment dripped with condescension. "You're so independent, Madison. I could never survive in a tiny place like yours," she once told me at Thanksgiving, sipping her wine like she was on a throne. Still, I told myself to give her a chance. Aaron loved her, and that was enough. For a while. Everything changed a month ago. On a quiet Sunday morning, my phone buzzed. Vanessa's name flashed across the screen. That was strange. We didn't talk one-on-one. Ever. "Hi, Madison. I hope I'm not bothering you," she began, sugary sweet. "I have a small favor to ask." Alarm bells immediately went off. "Sure," I said cautiously. "Well," she continued, "Aaron and I just found out we're expecting. I'm so excited, but the doctor says I need a stress-free environment and, well, your house in the suburbs is just perfect. I was thinking, maybe I could move into your guest room until the baby comes?" I blinked. Was she serious? "My guest room?" I asked, stunned. "Vanessa, that's my office. I work from home. I literally run my business from there." "Oh, but it's just for a few months," she cooed. "You can work from your kitchen table or something. This is a high-risk pregnancy, Madison. I need peace, and you live alone, so it's ideal." I stayed calm, at least outwardly. "I'm really sorry, Vanessa, but that's not something I can accommodate." Her voice dropped instantly. Gone was the sweetness. "So, you're refusing to help your own family?" she said sharply. "Aaron said you'd be selfish, but I wanted to believe you were better than that." Before I could reply, she hung up. I sat there, stunned. Had that really just happened? 10 minutes later, I got a text from Aaron. "Hey, I know Vanessa called. I get it's a big ask, but could you please consider it for the baby?" I stared at my phone. This wasn't just a big ask. It was a complete invasion of my space and livelihood. I responded honestly. "I love you, Aaron, but I can't give up my workspace for 9 months. I hope you understand." He didn't reply. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Within a week, whispers began. My Aunt Meredith called me out of the blue saying I needed to grow up and stop holding grudges. A family friend texted me a Bible verse about selfishness. Even my own mom gave me a disappointed look during our weekly call and said, "I just don't understand why you won't help." Vanessa had gone on a full-blown smear campaign. She told everyone I was intentionally stressing her out, that I didn't believe she was really pregnant, that I was jealous because she was moving forward in life while I was stuck. I couldn't believe it. I'd done nothing but politely decline her absurd request, and suddenly, I was public enemy number 1. Aaron, who once had my back no matter what, grew distant. He stopped texting regularly. When I called, our conversations were short and awkward. I knew exactly what was happening. Vanessa was turning him against me. Then came the kicker. One night I got a message from him. "If something happens to the baby because of all this stress, I'll never forgive myself." That one hit me like a punch to the gut. He didn't say it outright, but the implication was clear. If anything went wrong, it would be my fault. I couldn't sleep that night. How had things spiraled so far out of control? I tried to remind myself that I'd done nothing wrong. I hadn't insulted her, hadn't lashed out, hadn't even raised my voice. All I'd done was say no. But with each passing day, I felt more like the villain in a story I hadn't agreed to be part of. Still, I wasn't about to let Vanessa steamroll me. There was something about her that didn't sit right. The overly dramatic texts, the vague talk about doctors but no details, the way she changed her story depending on who she was talking to. My gut told me something wasn't right. I'd always believed that truth would rise eventually, but this time, I wasn't going to sit back and wait. Vanessa had started a war. She just didn't know yet that I wasn't going to fight it on her terms. If she thought she could destroy my relationship with Aaron and smear my name with lies, she was about to learn that not every little sister stays quiet. This was just the beginning. I wish I could say things cooled down after that, but Vanessa was just getting started. 3 days after our last conversation, I received a voice message from my cousin Denise. She sounded hesitant, almost embarrassed. Hey Mads, just wanted to say I hope you and Vanessa can work things out. I mean, with her condition and everything, she's really under pressure. And it's family. Condition? What condition? Vanessa had started referring to her pregnancy like it was some life-threatening illness. I didn't respond, but it kept snowballing. I found out through social media that she had told nearly everyone that I was refusing to help her during a medically fragile pregnancy, that my selfishness was putting her baby in danger. She even posted a vague Instagram story, a black screen with white text that read, "You find out who really loves you when you're scared, vulnerable, and pregnant." And just like that, the floodgates opened. People began to choose sides. Her friends and even some extended family members began messaging me, trying to guilt me into letting Vanessa move in. Be the bigger person. Do it for Aaron, if not for her. Don't make her pregnancy harder than it already is. What they didn't realize is, I would have helped if I could. But I wasn't some trust fund baby sitting on a 6-bedroom mansion. I worked from home to make ends meet. My guest room was my lifeline, not a spare luxury suite. Even my mom called and said, "Honey, I know you two don't get along, but this isn't about Vanessa. It's about the baby. You don't want to carry that kind of guilt." I nearly dropped the phone. Guilt? For what? Protecting my boundaries? But I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just said, "Okay," and hung up. Because at this point, I realized no one was going to hear me over the sound of Vanessa's drama. And Aaron had completely shut me out. His texts were dry and infrequent. He wouldn't pick up my calls. The same brother who used to show up at my place with pizza after a long day now couldn't be bothered to check if I was okay. It was like I didn't exist anymore. But what really pushed me over the edge happened at a family barbecue the following weekend. I wasn't planning on going, but my cousin Ryan, the only person still supporting me, convinced me it would look worse if I avoided everyone. So I went. Big mistake. From the moment I arrived, I could feel the chill. My Aunt Linda barely looked me in the eye. Vanessa, of course, made a grand entrance, hand on her still suspiciously flat stomach, speaking softly as if she were made of glass. "Oh my gosh," she sighed loudly to the group, "I'm just so grateful to be here. You never know how much family matters until you realize how alone you'd be if something happened to your baby." People nodded solemnly. Someone rubbed her shoulder, and then she turned directly to me and added, "Especially when the people who should care don't." Gasps. Awkward silence. I didn't say a word. I refused to let her bait me into a public meltdown. But inside, my blood was boiling. Later, as I was grabbing a soda from the cooler, my mom pulled me aside. "You know," she whispered, "maybe it's time you swallowed your pride, just until the baby comes." That's when I realized something. No one was going to defend me. Not even my own mother. It didn't matter that I'd always been the dependable one. The one who showed up, the one who supported Aaron through his rough patches. None of that counted anymore. Because Vanessa, with her manipulative tears and vague complications, had spun a better story. A more sympathetic story. I wanted to scream, but instead I smiled politely and excused myself. I drove home, shut the door behind me, and let myself cry, for the first time in years. Not because of what Vanessa had done, but because of what my family had allowed. Still, even in that moment of heartbreak, something in me hardened. I knew I had two options. Either sit back and let Vanessa destroy everything I built, or fight back. With facts. The next morning, I called my friend Lexi. She worked at the same hospital Vanessa claimed to be receiving her high-risk prenatal care. "Off the record," I said carefully, "do you know if Vanessa Anderson's in the system?" Lexi paused. "Why do you ask?" I gave her a brief version, leaving out the family drama, and added, "She's claiming medical complications, and something doesn't sit right." Lexi didn't tell me much. She's not the type to risk her job, but what she did say was enough to light a fire under me. "All I'm saying," she said, "is I'd be very surprised if anything in her file matches what she's been telling people." Click, that was it. That was the turning point. Vanessa might have the whole family believing her sob story, but I had the gut instinct, and now, just maybe, the beginning of a real lead. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I contacted a private investigator. His name was Dean Holloway, ex-cop, discreet, smart. The kind of man who had heard enough wild stories to know when something stank of manipulation. When I laid it all out, he didn't even blink. "You'd be surprised how many people fake this kind of thing," he said calmly. "Especially when there's power or property involved." I gave him the timeline, the names, the dates. Vanessa claimed she had been to the ER. He nodded, scribbling notes. "I'll see what I can find." As I left his office, a mix of guilt and adrenaline pulsed through me. What if I was wrong? What if Vanessa really was struggling and I was just another bitter sibling in a family feud? But deep down, I knew the truth. Vanessa wasn't after peace and quiet, she was after control. And I wasn't about to give it to her. 3 days after hiring Dean, the private investigator, I got my first update. He texted me. "Need to talk. Some things aren't adding up." My stomach flipped. I met him that afternoon at a quiet diner on the edge of town. He slid into the booth across from me, set his black leather notebook on the table, and without preamble said, "Your sister-in-law's story? It's cracking." I leaned forward. "Tell me everything." He opened the notebook, revealing photos, hospital appointment logs, and a few printed social media screenshots. It felt like I was staring at the start of a true crime episode. So I checked the hospital records from the dates she claimed she was hospitalized for pregnancy complications, Dean began. Guess what? She wasn't admitted to maternity care, not even once. But she was treated for dehydration, once, and once for a migraine. That's it. I blinked. No OB visits, no prenatal anything? Dean shook his head. Not even an ultrasound. He pulled out a photo next. It showed Vanessa in gym leggings at a community art center, lugging a box of what looked like paint supplies. This was taken 2 days after she claimed she was placed on bed rest. I stared at the photo in disbelief. I knew Vanessa was dramatic, but this was something else. "She's not even pregnant, is she?" I whispered. Dean's expression didn't change. "I can't confirm that definitively without access to private records, but nothing in her activity, behavior, or medical visits supports her story. And get this, according to her social media check-ins, she was at a winery just last month. Drinking." That was the tipping point. For weeks, I'd let Vanessa drag my name through the mud. I'd kept quiet while she manipulated my brother and smeared me to family and friends. But now I had hard evidence. I had proof. Still, the truth wouldn't matter unless I handled it the right way. Because if I just texted everyone, they'd call me bitter. If I called a family meeting, they'd brace for drama. No, I needed the one person who mattered most in all of this. Aaron. So, I invited him over. He hesitated, but eventually said yes. Maybe he sensed something was off. Maybe a part of him missed his sister. That Sunday, he showed up to my apartment looking like a man torn between loyalty and doubt. I offered him a drink, then went straight to it. "Aaron," I said, "I'm not gonna yell. I'm not even angry anymore. I just need you to look at something." He sat quietly as I laid out Dean's findings, photos, dates, screenshots. I didn't say anything while he flipped through each one. When he reached the image of Vanessa carrying that box at the art center, he froze. "This was after she told Mom she couldn't even get out of bed," he said quietly. I nodded. "She's been lying to everyone. She's not sick, Aaron. She's not high risk. I don't even think she's pregnant." He looked up, eyes wide. "But why would she?" "To get control," I said. "To isolate me, to get that guest room for her own use. You think she needed it to rest? No, Aaron, she wanted a personal art studio. That's what this whole thing's been about." He didn't argue. He didn't get defensive. Instead, his face just collapsed, like he'd been holding on to this fairy tale and it was finally shattering. "God," he whispered, "I've been so blind." I exhaled. "She nearly ruined us, Aaron. You and me." He nodded slowly. "I need to think," he said before leaving. And I let him go, because for the first time I knew he finally believed me. But Vanessa? She must have sensed the shift, because 2 days later she unleashed her biggest stunt yet. She showed up, uninvited, to a family dinner at my parents' house and collapsed in the living room, clutching her stomach and screaming that the stress was hurting the baby. My mom called 911. The entire family panicked. I didn't go, but Dean did. He happened to be nearby and, with a bit of charm and a fake concern, managed to chat with the EMTs discreetly. Later that night, he texted me. Paramedics said she refused to be transported, claimed she was feeling better. No sign of medical distress, no OB history in their records. She staged the whole thing, and now it was time to go public. Dean helped me craft a simple, fact-based message. No drama, no accusations, just the truth, backed with proof. I sent it to my parents, to my aunt, to the cousins who had messaged me saying I was cruel. I included the photos, the hospital reports, a clear timeline, and I let the facts speak. Then I turned off my phone and went for a walk. I didn't know how they'd respond, but I knew I wasn't scared anymore. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could finally breathe. When I turned my phone back on the next morning, it was already vibrating non-stop. Missed calls, voicemails, texts, from Mom, Dad, even my Aunt Jackie, the same one who had once told me I should learn to be more supportive of Vanessa. I braced myself and opened the group chat. It was chaos. "We need to talk, now. Why didn't you come to us sooner? Jackie, I cannot believe this. That girl is insane. Dude, I'm sorry, I really am. Please meet me today, just us." I stared at Aaron's message the longest, my brother, my best friend, until Vanessa came along. I replied, 3 p.m., the park near Dad's old hardware store. He showed up early, looking 10 years older than the last time I'd seen him, eyes puffy, shoulders heavy. "Thanks for coming," he said. I nodded. "You ready?" He hesitated. "I honestly don't know." We sat down at the park bench. Kids played in the distance. A breeze rustled the trees. For a moment, we were just two brothers again, not caught in the middle of an emotional firestorm. I confronted her, Aaron finally said, showed her the files, the photos, everything. I looked at him, holding my breath. "And?" She denied it at first, said you fabricated the documents, accused you of stalking her, but when I mentioned the audio, his voice cracked. She crumbled. She didn't even try to lie, just started crying and saying she didn't know why she did it. He paused, looked away. "She admitted everything, didn't she?" I asked. He nodded slowly. "Yeah, she said it was never supposed to go this far, that she just wanted control. A creative space. Attention." I clenched my jaw, and a pregnancy lie was the solution? Aaron didn't defend her, not this time. He just whispered, "I feel like I don't even know the woman I married." We sat in silence, watching a little girl chase a kite across the grass. "Do you hate me?" he asked quietly. I turned to him. "No, Aaron, I never hated you. I hated that you couldn't see what she was doing. I hated that you doubted me." His eyes welled up. "I'm sorry, man. I really am." I nodded. "I know." For a long time we just sat there. No yelling, no accusations, just years of brotherhood trying to stitch itself back together, thread by thread. "I'm filing for separation," he said at last. "It's over." I didn't say anything. I just put a hand on his shoulder. That night, Vanessa made one last attempt to salvage her image. She posted a long, dramatic paragraph on social media. It read like a manifesto, filled with vague references to emotional trauma, misunderstood intentions, and being painted as a villain by people who claim to care. But then, she made a mistake. She wrote, "At least I didn't go behind someone's back and hire a private investigator like a paranoid psycho." And just like that, she confirmed everything. The comments turned fast. Screenshots of the audio transcript started circulating. A couple of mutual friends chimed in. "Wait, so you weren't even pregnant?" "So messed up, I believed you. I feel sick reading this." The truth was out now, irrefutable, and she had no one left to blame. The next morning my mom called. Her voice was shaking. "I owe you the biggest apology of my life," she said. "I defended her, I believed her, and I judged you." "I know," I said softly. "Your father and we talked. Vanessa is no longer welcome in this house." I exhaled slowly. "Thanks, Mom." Later that week, my dad stopped by my apartment, something he hadn't done in years. He brought a box of my old childhood stuff, the kind that had been collecting dust in their basement since college. He didn't say much, just set the box down and said, "You were right to fight back. I'm proud of you." That almost broke me. I didn't cry, but I felt like I could finally breathe again. By the weekend, Aaron had officially moved out. Vanessa was nowhere to be found. No texts, no emails, just radio silence. Then an email arrived, from Vanessa, subject line. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. I had already reclaimed my life, my peace, and, most importantly, my voice, and no half-hearted apology could change that. A week after Vanessa vanished from our lives, the dust still hadn't settled. At least not for Aaron. He moved into a short-term rental near the river, bare walls, second-hand furniture, and a sense of emptiness that clung to him like a shadow. I visited a few times. We talked. Sometimes in long, quiet stretches, sometimes not at all. There were still things we couldn't say, wounds that hadn't closed. I don't know who I married, he confessed one night. I feel like everything we had was just fake. It wasn't all fake, I said, but some of it, yeah. She played you. She played us all. He nodded, his eyes hollow. I wanted to believe she loved me. She probably did in her own twisted way, I said, but it doesn't excuse what she did. Aaron looked at me. How do I fix this? You don't fix it, I told him. You rebuild from it. There's a difference. Meanwhile, word of Vanessa's deception had spread further than we expected. Somehow, someone leaked the audio recording. Probably one of our cousins. It wasn't posted publicly, but it was passed around quietly. Group chats, DMs, private circles. Suddenly, people who once praised Vanessa for being so poised and so sweet were whispering that they always had a strange feeling about her. People love a redemption arc. But they love a downfall even more. The damage to her reputation was permanent. But not everyone was ready to move on. My Aunt Sharon, ever the family peacemaker, called me one evening. Can't we all just let it go? She asked gently. Vanessa's out of the picture. Aaron's single. Don't you think it's time to forgive and forget? I almost dropped the phone. Let it go? I repeated. Aunt Sharon, she faked a pregnancy, smeared my name, and almost wrecked my relationship with Aaron. You think I should just forget it? She's human, she said. She made a mistake. No, I snapped. She made a campaign. A deliberate, malicious campaign. There was silence on the line. Then, okay, I see your point. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. Later that night, Aaron called again. I talked to her, he said. My stomach tightened. You what? She emailed me, said she needed closure, so I agreed to meet her, one time. I stood up, pacing, and she cried. Blamed everything on pressure, mental health, stress, said she never meant to hurt anyone. I scoffed. Classic narcissist playbook. He didn't disagree. She asked if I'd ever consider giving us a second chance. And? I told her I forgave her, but that didn't mean I'd forget or come back. I let out a slow breath. Good. Then he said something I didn't expect. She's pregnant now. For real, with someone else's child. My jaw dropped. Are you serious? Dead serious. She didn't say who the father was, just that she found out last week. I didn't even know what to say. The irony was almost too much. She faked it, then got the real thing? I muttered. What the hell kind of karma is that? Aaron chuckled bitterly. Life's funny like that. I wasn't sure if I believed her. But honestly, it didn't matter. She was out of our lives. The following weekend, our parents invited us both over for dinner. It was the first time in months that Aaron and I sat at the same table with Mom and Dad without tension simmering beneath every word. Mom cooked his favorite, chicken pot pie, and Dad kept sneaking looks between us like he couldn't believe we were actually talking again. Feels good to have my boys back in the same room, he said quietly. I never went anywhere, I replied. Aaron looked down. I know. Later, as we cleared the table, Mom touched my arm. I still feel terrible about everything, she said. I should have trusted you. You believed what you saw, I replied. She was convincing. But next time, ask questions. She and I will. As we stood in the kitchen, something shifted. A quiet understanding. A new layer to our relationship. We weren't the same family anymore. Maybe that was a good thing. That night, Aaron and I walked outside together, just like we used to when we were kids sneaking snacks out of the fridge. I'm thinking of leaving the city, he said suddenly. Maybe start fresh somewhere. Where would you go? Portland. I have an old college buddy out there, says his company's hiring. I nodded slowly. That could be good. He looked at me. You'll be okay if I do? I'll always be okay, I said. Just don't vanish like she did. He smiled faintly. Never. We hugged. It wasn't dramatic. No violins. Just two brothers trying to find a new normal after the storm. And in that moment, I realized something. Closure doesn't come when someone apologizes. It comes when you stop needing them to. Aaron was rebuilding. So was I. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like the beginning of something new. It's been nearly 6 months since that family dinner. The one where I exposed Vanessa for faking her pregnancy. And while the truth set me free, the aftermath wasn't simple. People like to believe that once the villain is unmasked, everything falls into place. The bad guy gets what's coming, the good guy is vindicated, and everyone claps. But in real life, when the curtain drops, you're still standing there on a messy stage with broken trust and unanswered questions. The family was shaken. At first, the silence was comforting. Vanessa disappeared. No calls, no apologies, no explanations. It was like she vanished into the wind. But the deeper silence came from Aaron, my brother. Even after the truth came out, he didn't bounce back like I hoped. He blamed himself for believing her, for choosing her, for letting her pit him against me. Some days he'd text me short, awkward messages like, "Did you catch the Knicks game? Mom's birthday dinner this Sunday. You going?" "Still feel like an idiot, FYI. I answered every time, because no matter what happened, he was still my brother. Eventually, Aaron started therapy, said he needed to unpack the whole mess, his words, not mine. He didn't want to carry Vanessa's shadow into the next chapter of his life, and I respected that. Meanwhile, Vanessa wasn't quite done. A few weeks after our family confrontation, she reappeared, but not in person. She sent out a carefully worded, open letter on Facebook. It was the classic gaslight and pivot maneuver. She claimed she never technically lied about being pregnant, that it was all a miscommunication between her and her doctors, that stress and trauma blurred her memory. She even hinted at a possible phantom pregnancy, a condition no real doctor had confirmed for her, of course. But the best part? She said that while some people, me, tried to ruin her life, she forgave us all and wished us healing. The comments were a circus. Some of her friends, mostly ones she manipulated like she did us, posted heart emojis and "Stay strong, queen." But others saw through it. A few family members even commented, "So, no apology then? Are you going to explain the audio recording? Still waiting for the part where you didn't make all this up." She deleted the post 2 days later. Too late, screenshots were everywhere. I didn't respond. I didn't have to. Aaron filed for divorce shortly after. The process was surprisingly quick. They had no shared property, no kids, just a bunch of lies and resentment between them. Her lawyer tried to argue emotional damages, claiming Aaron's family had harassed and defamed her. But the judge didn't buy it, not with the evidence I handed over. When it was done, Aaron signed the final documents and sent me a picture of the stamped divorce papers with a single line, "Thanks for fighting when I couldn't." I didn't reply, just heart reacted. Sometimes that says enough. Life slowly began to find a rhythm again. Family events were awkward at first. Some relatives didn't know how to act around me, like they weren't sure if they were supposed to feel guilty or grateful. But time has a way of sanding down sharp edges. Mom came around eventually. One day, she showed up at my apartment unannounced, holding a container of banana bread and wearing that worried, apologetic expression only moms have mastered. "I should have believed you," she said before I even opened the door fully. "I know," I replied. She looked down. "I just wanted peace in the family. I didn't want to believe anyone could lie about something that serious." "I get it," I said. "But next time, don't make peace by picking sides." She nodded, and we left it at that. Since then, things have changed. I reclaimed my life. I renovated the guest room, the same one Vanessa wanted so badly. I turned it into a creative studio, bought a new desk, installed soft lighting, hung up framed art, and a quote I now live by: "Boundaries don't mean you hate them, they mean you love yourself." I picked up painting again. Nothing fancy, just brushstrokes on canvas. But it felt good. It felt like me again. Aaron moved across the country 3 months ago. Said he needed a new start. He found a job with a tech company in Seattle and even started dating again, cautiously. We video call once a week. He smiles more now, still has rough days, but he's healing. And I'm proud of him. As for Vanessa, last I heard she was living in a small town a few hours away. Rumor has it she tried starting an art business, but it didn't go far. Her reputation followed her like a storm cloud. She never apologized, not really. And that's okay. I stopped waiting for closure from her. I got it from truth, from time, from choosing myself when no one else would. One night, after hanging up from a long call with Aaron, I looked around my apartment. Quiet, warm, safe. And I realized, sometimes justice doesn't look like revenge. It looks like peace. It looks like freedom. It looks like living your life fully, knowing no one else controls the narrative anymore. I went through hell. I lost trust. I lost time. I nearly lost my brother. But I never lost myself. And in the end, that's what mattered most.